Greetings, Earthians. It is time once again to turn your mental energies toward the infinity of the speed of thought. Travel beyond the edge of the known into the realm of weird science fantasy. I had been asleep, but my sleep had been fitful, filled with the vague, formless stuff of troubled dreams. Beside me, my wife breathed softly. In the next room, my son slept peacefully, his dog at the foot of his bed. All seemed well, as it should be, yet the thin tendrils of the fears with which I had lived for so long plucked at my brain. I arose and went to the window, as if something, some sixth sense, drew me there. How shall I describe that awful moment? I saw the ball, a glowing, shimmering sphere of light, hovering over the lawn of my suburban home. I saw it settle lightly, and I thought that I was still dreaming. It can't be. It can't. As I watched in disbelief and terrorized fascination, I saw two people with limbs like liquid silver and faces like the faces of angels emerge from the glowing ball. It was no dream. I knew that now. I slipped into a robe and went to meet them.
We must be swift. We must take him and go quickly.
I heard. Their lips did not move, and yet I heard their voices as if their thoughts leaped over invisible wires from their minds to mine. I heard, and I knew why they were here. They'd come for my son. No, you can't take him. I won't let you. You won't.
There is no choice. We must. His call reached out to us across the endless seas of space. From his world to ours, we could not deny that call.
No, this is some kind of monstrous practical joke. There are no other inhabited worlds. Nothing can reach across space. Words. I spoke them, and yet I did not believe them as I spoke. I knew. I had known for some time, and the eyes that looked at me were soft and filled with pity.
Our ship has crossed space as his call crossed space. You know that he does not belong in your world. That much we can grasp from your thoughts, jumbled though they are. With us, he would be among his own kind. He would be happy. Would you deny him happiness?
Do not fear for him. We will give him all the love which you could give him, and more. For his sake, let us pass.
They say that in a crisis, a man's life flashes before his eyes in a moment's time. I hesitated then, in my crisis, only for an instant, and in that instant it was as if time rolled backwards. 10 years. You're certain, Doctor? I'm still normal?
It would appear so, Professor Fuller. As far as tests and physical examinations can show, you are quite normal. But beyond that,
you wouldn't take an oath on it. You wouldn't swear that the unborn child my wife is carrying will be like other children.
Swear? How could I swear, Professor? You are a man of science, an expert on atomic fission. For 2 years you've worked on the atomic pile at Alamogordo. If you were in my place, would you swear an oath?
No, I guess not. We know so little of the effects of radioactivity on the genes and chromosomes. Doctor, I know I'm being foolish, but I can't help thinking about it. What if the child is a freak, a mutant? It would be my fault.
You don't know for certain if your work on the pile has affected you, Professor. Why anticipate? Why not wait and see?
We know so little. We toyed with giant forces and we lived in fear. At least, I lived in fear. But there was nothing I could do, so I waited. I went back to work, and even as I worked, I prayed that my work had not made my child a monster. I prayed, and at first it seemed to me that my prayers had been answered. When my son was born, he had no extra limbs, no visible deformities.
The doctor says he's perfect. Isn't he beautiful, Henry?
Yes, Laura, he's beautiful. No, my son was not deformed. But how many infants look up at you out of eyes that seem to see through you? How many children walk at 6 months, speak at 1 year, read at the age of 2? Laura, did you see? He was reading, I tell you. Reading this.
Really, Henry, I know how proud you are of Bobby, but reading? Come now, he was just looking at the pictures, dear. How could he know how to read?
I don't know how, but he does. Laura, he's not like other kids. The way he speaks, the way he watches everything. You must have noticed.
Of course I've noticed. Bobby is exceptionally bright for his age. But don't you dare tell him so, dear. You'll spoil him.
Laura had never begun to understand, but I was right. A mutation is not always of the body. Other boys played, other boys romped, but not my son. His interests were of the mind. Bobby, it's such a nice day. Wouldn't you like to play ball with the other boys?
Ball? Not particularly, Dad.
But you have no friends. You never bother with other children. Don't you ever get lonely?
No, Dad, I don't get lonely. I'm perfectly happy.
My son was so cold. Can you understand? There was no miracle. He didn't suddenly reveal his genius. He was too clever for that. But I know what lay behind those icy eyes of his. Well, why don't you get lonely? By heavens, what kind of a child are you? Don't you care about anything? Are you so superior to the rest of us?
Henry! What on earth has gotten into you, Henry? You sound as though you thought Bobby hated us. What has he done?
Nothing. That's just it. Nothing. Maybe he doesn't hate us. Maybe he only feels sorry for us. I don't know. But I know one thing. I'm sick of being looked at as though I were a worm. He wasn't one of us. I saw that clearly. My son was what one day men might be. He endured us, knowing his own superiority. But I loved him. He was still my son, and my love made me tense and irritable. Well, get on with it. I haven't got all day. Or do you think I'm trying to sneak out some U-235?
Sorry, sir. You know the regulation. We have to check every person working on the pile. You might have been exposed to radiation.
Might have been? You fool. What good is that Geiger counter now? The damage has been done. I'll never forget that day. I'd snarled at the guard out of my own misery. Because my son was not my son. Because I wanted him to love me as I loved him. There had to be a way to his heart. Guard! That dog! Do those pups belong to anyone?
Only to her, sir. Queenie's just a stray. Been hanging around here ever since the place was put up. She's...
I didn't ask for the dog's life history. I only want to know if anyone owned the pups. If not, my son might like to have one.
Help yourself. We've been wondering what to do with them. If Queenie doesn't mind, why should I?
The irony of it. I bought my son a pet. I tried to buy my way behind the wall of ice behind him. And instead, day by day, I saw final proof that I'd fathered something beyond my understanding. My son and the dog had become inseparable, but it wasn't the way it was with other boys and their dogs. Bobby would just look into Duke's eyes, and he'd know. He'd go out and return with whatever the dog seemed to want. Laura, you saw that, didn't you? Bobby just looked at Duke, and he knew that Duke was thirsty. He just looked at the dog.
I know, dear. Remarkable, isn't it? Bobby seems to be able to read Duke's mind. It's amazing the way he's trained that dog.
Trained? Bobby hadn't trained Duke. He controlled him. He knew what Duke was thinking. The way he probably knew what I was thinking. What Laura was thinking.
Dad, would you open the back door? Duke's on the steps and he wants to come in.
Huh? Duke? Yes, of course. He was right, too. Bobby was always right. Bobby, how did you know Duke was at the door? How?
Intuition, I guess, Dad. It just flashed through my head.
I remember it all. In an instant, everything. Those calm, cold, intelligent eyes looking up at me, boring into mine. And my fear. Yes, I was afraid. I admit it. But now as the past vanishes and I stand before these creatures from across the void, I know that Bobby is still my flesh and blood. How can I let him go? Stop! No! You'll never take him! I won't let you!
You cannot prevent it. Think, your world has still so far to go. You kill, struggle against each other, lie, cheat, steal. What would happen to your world if a superintelligence should decide to, say, control it? What would happen if this intelligence which had suddenly come among you were used for evil? Would you have your world enslaved? Perhaps destroyed?
In your heart you know that we must take him away, to where we can watch over him, train him right. There is no other way.
The creatures from the radiant ball moved past me into the house. I understood. On Earth, my son might one day become a tyrant, a dictator. In their world, he would be among equals. Yet, inside me, instinct struggled against logic. They were right, but he was my son. They were taking away my son. While they were upstairs, I found my gun, and I waited for them to come down, carrying their burden. I stood there, my finger trembling on the trigger, and then my hand dropped limply. I stood to one side as they passed me and went out to the ship and climbed in, and I watched the gleaming sphere rise into the night to the stars and disappear. Then I went back into the house and sat by the window all night until the dawn crept up from behind the east and erased the stars. And Bobby came into the room.
Dad, where's Duke? I can't find him anywhere.
I know. Yes, they'd heard the call and they'd come across space to answer. My boy was a normal boy. A bit of a bookworm, a bit too bright, but normal.
You know Duke's gone, Dad?
Yes, son. I found the front door open. I'm afraid I forgot to close it last night. He must have gone out. No, my son wasn't a mutant at all. Not like Duke. Not like a dog whelped in the shadow of an atomic pile. But I wouldn't worry about Duke, son. He'll be all right. He'll be back. And I knew that I lied. I knew that Duke would never be back. That he was out somewhere in the void with them. Once again, we return you to your pre-scheduled mundanity.